Hi everyone, we're going to begin shortly. Okay, we're ready to begin. My name is Alexandra Twee and I'm with Marketing at UBM Fashion. I'd like to welcome you to the New York Women September 101 webinar. Today we'll be covering everything you need to know before attending New York Women September, including the inside scoop on the show and how to successfully prepare for this marketplace. So we're just going to cover a few housekeeping items right now. Please note that you will be placed on mute for the duration of the call. All questions will be addressed via the Q&A log during or at the end of the presentation. If you experience any system issues, click on the Help button on your registration reminder email. If you find a delay at any time throughout the presentation, please try refreshing the page or changing browsers. And now I'd like to introduce you to our speakers today. First, we have Mercedes Gonzalez of Global Purchasing Companies, who is here to lend her expert advice. Mercedes is the founder and director of GPC with over 20 years experience in the apparel industry, traveling to countless countries for trade shows. She is praised for sharing the tricks of the trade. We are also joined by Celeste Bohm, VP of Retail Engagement at UBM Fashion, and Danielle Licata, Women's Fashion Director and VP Brand Director of COTERIE. They will be here to address any questions you may have throughout the presentation. And now I'd like to hand it over to Celeste.
Hello everyone, and welcome to our 101 webinar for our September marketplace. We are very excited about what lies ahead for this marketplace. Danielle and Mercedes will take you through all the fun things and also all of the important things that you'll need to see while at the show. I just want to cover the marketplaces or the shows within this marketplace that you'll see. First is COTERIE, followed by Soul Commerce, Fame, Moda, and Sourcing at COTERIE. So within this marketplace, there's 5 key shows that you'll need to shop. So why New York Women's? Well, first of all, it's one of the most comprehensive marketplaces in New York for fashion on the accessory, footwear, and apparel side. We have over 1,600 brands. Next is the overview of the market. You get to see this marketplace in one location. Also, you'll be able to network with your peers and also other brands. And Mercedes will she'll touch on this topic, but it's all about the discovery. Danielle's done an amazing job of looking at the neighborhoods and putting together these neighborhoods so you have an area to discover new. She has over 200 brands. The marketplace as a whole, if you look at the layout, COTERIE will be in 3 locations. It'll be on level 1, and that will be, COTERIE will be on level 1, 2, and 3. Actually, it's on level 1, 3, 2, and 4. My apologies. So on level 4, let's start there. You will have evening at COTERIE. Then the next on level 3, you'll have other parts of COTERIE located there. Then in level 1, you will have other parts of Coterie located in that section. So level 2 will be your registration area, as well as level 3. And then on level 3, you'll also find Fame, Moda, and Soul Commerce. The other thing that I want to point out is that the show hours are a little different for this marketplace. We are starting on Saturday versus a Sunday or a Monday. So our show days are Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And we open at 11 a.m. on Saturday, and you can shop extended hours till 7 p.m. Our other hours are on Sunday, 9 to 6, and Monday, 9 to 5. I would like to now introduce Danielle. She hails from Stella McCartney and then Belstaff. She has over 10 years of experience in the luxury fashion category, earning her the role as the Women's Fashion Director and RVP Director of Coterie. She is an innate leader. Danielle has successfully built and managed wholesale, retail, and e-commerce teams. Her infectious energy, combined with her passion for this industry, has allowed her to excel and be recognized by our business leaders, fashion industry executives, and peers alike. Since her start at UBM, Danielle has pioneered the launch of Beauty at Coterie and unveiled the company's first standalone retail pop-up in Miami this past June, which was a huge success. It is my pleasure to introduce Danielle.
Hi, thank you, Celeste, for such kind words. So we want to give you a little bit more details about Coterie this season and about kind of how we're shaking things up and making some changes to our floor plan and layout, because I understand there are going to be a lot of questions about the new kind of formatting. Essentially, level 4, which has always been evening, will remain as evening and also have a main cafe placed on that floor. That is when you enter the Crystal Palace, up the escalators, and directly in front of you. You can't miss it. It's been there now for 5+ years, and so that will remain as is. The major change is that when you walk into the Crystal Palace, usually Coterie would be both on the left and right under the 2 main banners with 2 doorways each. For this show, the left side will now be the Moda, Soul Commerce, and Fame show entrance. The right side will remain as Coterie, but the neighborhoods that you're used to seeing on the right side will change. So to walk you through that level, kind of going in order from left to right, you have our vintage section, which I really do urge you to visit because it's a way for you to create collaborations with vintage dealers, have them in your store, hosting pop-up events with one-of-a-kind types of products. You can also shop for yourself, obviously, and it's a cash and carry situation. And you could also leave with items that you want to use in your store as display pieces or really wow pieces to add to people's assortments. From next to vintage, we have footwear at Coterie and Stitch, which Stitch is now kind of been rolled into the general Coterie show, but is a section where we have our better kind of bridge and convertible product. Next to Stitch and footwear, we will have the Edit section at a main doorway. Edit is really our more elevated European assortments. We have everything from Yoli and 70 to a more kind of, which is part of like Max Mara group, which is more upscale leathers, some evening wear and dress resources, really kind of more advanced contemporary products. From there, working still to your right, we have our kind of more bridge Missy world, also convertible product. A lot of cashmere, Ecru being a key brand there, Sarah Pacini being another key brand there. If that is your world that's now going to be located on the right side of the building, you're used to shopping that on the left. Beyond that world, we will have an area for accessories that really has gotten a complete facelift. We now have a much wider price point offering in accessories, covering everything from bags to hats to fine jewelry and costume jewelry in that section. After the accessories area, still working our way kind of north in Manhattan to the right, you'll have a showroom area. As we know, all of the showrooms that are in Coterie, and we have, over 200 showrooms in some capacity, have a mixed kind of bag of merchandise. So some of them have a little bit of jewelry, a little bit of young contemporary, and a little bit of contemporary. For this show, we've actually positioned all of the showrooms together, which will make it very easy for you to find them and shop. And it makes it cleaner for the rest of the merchandising on the floor, that the showrooms are not placed in the center of different areas, which could confuse you. So the showrooms will have a designated hall this season. After the showroom area, we have what is our Young Contemporary area, which is in a place that everyone is familiar with it being. This is our BB Dakota, Free People, Place showroom kind of area, and this is hovering around $100 to $150 retail. We really kind of urge you guys, and I'm going to go through some of our suggestions on brands to see that we're really excited about, but really the brand suggestions that we make are general, and they're about things that we've seen in the market that are joining us that really, you know, we think are high fashion or very interesting or exciting or sellable. But what we urge you to do is contact us either via the web portal or directly to our retail relations team and really ask questions that are specific for you guys and navigating the floor for you, because we're talking about the floor as a general place, but for your store, you might have very specific needs, and you might want to touch on opening accessories that you currently don't carry, adding footwear to your assortment. How do you begin to break into beauty? What's the best way to approach vintage? What are the new collections, you know, of a certain price point or in a certain kind of world? So for that, we really urge you again to email us. Coming off of that floor, which is actually level 3, we now have a downstairs, which is new to COTERIE. This downstairs will be composed of all of our largest contemporary resources. So these are people with the large custom booths that you're used to seeing at COTERIE, and these are brands that often you need to contact if you're a new store in advance to open up distribution. This would be Rebecca Minkoff, Rebecca Taylor, Allison Olivia, Curran Elliott, Joie, Vince, AG, Paige, DL, all of our denim resources, ranging from $100 jeans with a Parker and Smith to $300 jeans with a 3x1, Mother, Frame. This floor is really a must-see floor for everyone who attends COTERIE. It's made up of the brands that used to be upstairs at all 4 front doors. They are now all together on a lower level, which should make it really easy for you guys to shop if you're shopping that type of contemporary price point and those kind of bigger, more well-known brands, what I would call department store brands. Ellie Tahari is down here. Johnny Was, these types of brands. And we also have a great kind of section that we've positioned down here that is resort wear, which has a lot of new kind of brands in it, which I'll go into the list in a second, but it's called the Maris section. And Maris is a word that means by the sea, and it's also a store that we collaborate with who owns 50 resort location boutiques. And we partner together to curate a section in the show that is made of swim and resort wear brands. Behind Maris on this level 1 will also be our activewear section. So this level 1 is a very, very important floor that I really suggest everyone visits. We also have along the wall downstairs what I would term as resort preppy. So this is your Amanda Uprichard, your Susanna Monaco, Sail to Sable type of brands. And this, you know, a lot of our southern stores really make a whole business out of this side of the floor. So this will all be on level 1, which is brand new. This is in the show down the escalators. So this will be the only kind of area operating downstairs, but it is a very large area, and we can help you navigate it because our maps will be going live today on exactly where everyone is positioned to help you navigate this in a really kind of easy way. Just to jump into some brands we're really excited about and that we've gathered from kind of our global travels. We're going to give you a nice cross-section of brands. Some of them might be what you're looking for, and others might be too expensive or not at the right price point. Again, email us or write into the question area, and we will give specific suggestions for you and for your store. But these are some general things that we've seen in the market that are looking really good. Baldwin Denim, which will be back with us, they've been with us several times, has really made a pivot to become more feminine and kind of expand their brand offering. So we're really encouraging people to check that out. We just launched this June a pre-COTERIE show where we introduced several Brazilian and Colombian collections for the first time with wild success. So they are coming back. And we really want to kind of promote that if you do not attend June, this is a chance for you to see them. One of them being Azulu, A-Z-U-L-U. This is a brand that has 30 independent stores in Colombia. I would call it an upscale Zara in terms of the price point, and stylistically it's super on trend, but it's very much not over-distributed. It's not in every department store. In fact, I think they only sell a couple of doors. So this is definitely an opportunity to have something unique in your store. In the activewear section, where we have a new brand, Langston Active. They just participated in our Project Women show in Las Vegas and were hugely successful. I suggest you check them out as well. It's a lot of monochromatic active dressing and lifestyle dressing. And in our Maris section, other than Azulu, we will have Moeva Swim, M-O-E-V-A, and brand Verdi Lemon, V-E-R-D-I, Lemon, L-E-M-O-N. And these are two lines which have a very nice Instagram following, very cute, happy, kind of resort-esque vibe. On this floor as well, this first floor, we haven't left there yet, Juliana San Martin, which is a beautiful Brazilian line that I highly recommend you see. And not far from them is Iorane, I-O-R-A-N-E. Also Brazilian, was in our July pop-up in Miami and was one of the best-selling brands. So this is their maiden voyage to Coterie, and I really recommend you try them as again, they don't have a wide distribution as of yet. Going back to the lobby where we're going to have beauty, we have a very kind of diverse beauty mix. It's only about 20 brands, but within the 20 brands, we have things that fall into fragrance, which is Define Me Fragrance. Lab to Beauty, which is new for us. We're launching a brand which brings CBD oil, which I know is a hot button topic, in terms of mixing it into creams and ingestibles and all of these types of things to enhance beauty regimens. A couple other brands that we're really excited about there are Pure and Fresh and R+R Luxury. So check those out before you even enter into the show. It's just an easy thing to navigate, 20 brands clustered right together that really let you add those extra things, the candles, the face cream, the great fragrance that people will buy in your store as giftables. In the accessories world, we're really excited to have Jimena Calavalakis join us, which is a tongue twister. Jimena is spelled X-I-M-E-N-A. You can find them on a Moda Operandi if you want to see their most recent collections. Really beautiful, high-end artisanal bags, and we're excited to have them. We also have in the bag world, in a leather capacity, Weldon, W-E-L-D-E-N. Beautiful leather bags. They're selling currently on Shopbop and Nordstrom's if you wanted to check them out. And they're quite artisanally looking bags, but they're, indestructible. They come in suedes and leathers, and they're $300 to $500 retail price point. In the jewelry world, Lulu Frost and Jackie Aish are two of the brands I would really recommend checking out, as well as Dean Davidson if you're looking for some more interesting kind of funky fine jewelry. And we have joining us, which is one of my favorite brands, Gladys Tamez Hats, G-L-A-D-Y-S, comes out of LA, but she's Mexican. And these hats are worn on all the celebrities. She just did the cover of the most recent Lady Gaga album, the Joanna album, where she's wearing that large nude pink hat, and she just did that whole tour. So that's really exciting for us to have as well. Some other exciting brands on the main floor, and we're just going through a variety of price points. We have Girl Meets Glam, which is towards our kind of young contemporary price point, cheap and cheerful, but very kind of boho, colorful floral dresses. MAKI.space-OH, Maki O, which again, great Instagram following, beautiful clothing, a little bit more advanced stylistically, but definitely recommend checking that out. Essentially, the show is broken up into neighborhoods that really are going to help you guys navigate this really easily. So there's going to be a lot of questions, especially for the new stores and the newcomers. please send us to them by the end of the webinar, and we're going to try to answer them out loud, and then for some of the more complex ones, we'll respond back to you. But for us, it's about really catering your coterie trip to you. So we're talking broadly about coterie, but when we get down to the nitty-gritty of you're looking to replace, rag and bone with a new line, and who do we recommend, that's the type of stuff that we can take offline and really help you with. We're looking forward to seeing you at Coterie, and again, please pay attention to the new show hours and the shifts in the show floor, and ask any questions you have by the end. And I'm going to pass this off to Mercedes.
Well, Daniela, I have to tell you, I must have taken like 4 pages worth of notes. It is so important to be first to market, and some of the tips you gave us on some of the new brands that are going to be exhibiting are really a must-see. And especially with the beauty area, a lot of them will have immediates. So if you haven't tried some beauty, putting it by your counter and just as an impulse item during holiday, it really makes a big difference. So we're going to start off with Soul Commerce, and that's the area where you're going to find footwear and accessories, and you're going to find that it's a more mid-tier price point. The highest you'll find is around $300, and then it goes down from there. And when we're looking at the different price points throughout the show, whether it be in ready-to-wear and accessories and footwear and gift items that you might find also, just think about having a variety of price points too. Good, better, best within your kind of price structure is really important to have. So here you'll find top brands like Steve Madden and Jeffrey Campbell, and it's really merchandised also on with footwear on level 3. So Fame, this is where you'll find the young contemporary, and again, don't be fooled by that name. It's really about a price point and a fashion forwardness than it is about a person's age. You're going to find that in level 3, and here I like to say that for all of the retailers that like to keep really nice fashion, good quality, so don't be fooled by the price point. Under $100, usually between $20 and $80 retail, this is the place to find it. And this is also a place that if you're worried about a trend being too forward and you don't want to take a risk of finding that in a different price point, this is the price point to try a new trend and also to try a new brand too. And just really keep the store updated. And what I love about a lot of the vendors here is that they have multiple deliveries during the season. So you'll be able to find at once holiday and looking forward into spring, early spring and later spring deliveries too. So there are a lot of things happening at Fame. There is the Fame Fest, the Boho Fox, the DJ that's going to be playing during the show hours, and then there's always the Boozy Goodbye. And all of these little events and vignettes and some of the coffee that I'll call out in a minute are really great areas to network. And part of going to a trade show, besides the ability to touch and feel the things that you're actually buying, to be able to network with the brands that you've been trying to get on the phone and can't, but to also network with other industry peers so that you can have some flexibility also in your buying. So Moda is one of the other neighborhoods within the show, and here you're going to find some of the Stitch brands that have been moved to the front of the Moda show. So if you don't find some of your favorites over at Coterie, they might be here at Moda. And here you'll find, average retail price between $150 to $30, but you will find some fur jackets that will retail around $500. And this is going to be at level 3 in the hall 3E, and you'll see a lot of brands that you recognize, and you'll also find a lot of new brands in this area too. So that's what's really important about this kind of a trade show, where you have such a variety of goods, of products, of brands, of price points, to actually pace yourself and give yourself enough time to actually be able to walk the whole show. Even though you think it might not be your price point or your look or the products that you're looking for, you'll be surprised at the things that you don't know you actually needed for your store. So Invent and Happening, this is where you're going to get your coffee, complimentary coffee daily after 3 o'clock. That's when we all need that little caffeine kind of boost. And sourcing. So sourcing is usually where the designers will come and look at their factories. But I also encourage a lot of retailers to come and visit and just to get a little bit of the know-how of costing, of how things are made. And also, if you have a bestseller, a fashion basic, let's say, in your store, this is probably the good place to kind and be inspired to make your own. You're going to find that there's, for the first time, a Romanian section of manufacturers which have some favorable trade agreements with the U.S. There are also a few companies, 5 of them, I believe, from Hong Kong that are going to be doing full service packages. So the great thing about that, and this is on the Trade Easy platform, is that basically you give them the problem, like I need to make this, and they are a full package solution. They will find the fabrics, the buttons, the trims, the labels, everything, even the packing and sending it to you. So it does make all of that so much easier and less overwhelming too. You're going to see that there's a lot of green factories too that are specific to being sustainable and are also licensed and ethically licensed by some big manufacturers and some big names like Disney. Zintex is a returning fabric supplier. And what I like about him is that they have so many different kinds of fabrics available, and they also are kind enough to refer you to factories that actually use their own fabrics. So this is like another good networking situation that you have there. You'll also find some U.S. manufacturers that are going to be showing. A lot of them are coming from New York. Some of them are from the West Coast. And that's also really great if you have very small quantities of very intricately made products. So again, if you're a retailer, this is a place to go to just to get your heads up on costing and how things are actually done, just making you a smarter buyer on the floor, and also if you want to do some private label. And for designers, this is a great way to meet some full package factories that can have all of your solutions covered for you without too much stress. There are going to be different events. It's so important to go and look at the Fall/Winter 1920 trend displays by Fashion Snoops, and you know they're so generous with their time and having these colors and fabrications and even the textures of the fabrics displayed so that you could easily understand and interpret these trends to your own store. And just a little shout out for myself, I will be doing my book signing, Chronicles of a Fashion Buyer. Would be nice if I got my own book straight, right? Chronicles of a Fashion Buyer, I'll be signing and giving away 50 books, and that'll be on Monday, September the 17th at 1 o'clock. So stop by and say hi. And it doesn't have to be just to get a copy of the book, but if you have a question that I could help you with, I'll be more than happy to take that time. There are the vintage archives at Sourcing too, which is really important just to kind of get a look at what the past shows us in the future. And then there are going to be some different events with some bananas being dipped, which are refreshing, especially on a hot day today. And there's also going to be the chain stitch exhibition that's going on. So please just take a moment, you know, pace yourself, enjoy the things that Sourcing has to offer. And also part of being a credible expert at retail is understanding how that all works. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the show hours, and please really just make a note because they are so different from last time. And if you have a friend that's going to be joining you and is not on this webinar, please make sure that they understand that the show is starting on Saturday at 11 o'clock. I don't want you getting there, you know, at 8, trying to get in at 9, because this year registration is going to open up at 10 o'clock. And again, it's so wise if you haven't registered yet to do it online to save yourself that time of standing there and trying to get all your paperwork done at the last moment. On Sunday, it'll be from 9 to 6, and on Monday, it'll be from 9 to 5. So just keep in mind all the registration hours just vary a little bit from that too. And there are some great transportation available. There are some shuttle services that are starting on Saturday at 10:30. The drop-off location and the different routes are listed there. But Penn Station, which is very popular, especially if you're taking the bus, the train in. There's going to be one at Times Square at the DoubleTree. So if you're taking the buses in, that's probably the one you want to be at, or even the one at Times Square West. So just make a note of the times of operation. And you know me, I always stay at the very last minute and miss that last bus out. So there are parking for those of you that are brave enough to drive into Manhattan. I applaud you. And these are some of the discounted places that you can park. I would also try, just a little side note, sometimes Groupon has coupons for the different parking areas, and even if it's a little bit far away from the Javits, one of the shuttle buses might be in that vicinity too, to try to network your transportation that way too. There are some airport transportation They all take credit cards. Most of the taxis are not a problem. There are flat fares, so just be wary of that. And just remember, if you're coming in the day of the show, how much traffic there's going to be on a Saturday trying to get into Manhattan. There are help desks throughout the show to help you navigate, and especially to ask a question where one of the booths might be. And this is a service that, after all these years of going to trade shows, all of the trade shows that I have gone to in all different kinds of parts of the world, I can honestly tell you that nobody else has this service where you could actually send an email with a very specific item that you might be looking for or a question that you might have, and someone will answer you. So please do take advantage of your own concierge that you have available. There are different places to eat. I love that they put here, don't shop until you drop, but you will have a moment of what I call buyer's blindness. So if you're not going to pick up your coffee at 3 o'clock, there are places to have breakfast in the morning. There's the little cafes, and there's lunches also being sponsored by the show. And again, don't sit next to the person you already know. Try to sit next to somebody that you haven't met yet and have a little lively discussion about business and about trends and about brands, about price points, even just a general, about life. So this kind of networking is really one of the benefits of traveling to visit one of the trade shows. And there are some lounges and there is a coat check, but I don't believe that anybody will be using the coat check this time around. And if you haven't booked your hotel, there are some exclusive deals. You can see that online or this PowerPoint if you want to screenshot it so that you are up to date with the discounts that they have. There is the My Show Planner, which is that digital interactive planning tool. It's very helpful. It's so easy to use, and I still am the person that makes notes and circles things in the show book. So whatever way that works the best for you, just have some kind of organization where you have specific brands that you want to see, that you've made appointments with, and really map out your time and day so that you do take advantage of walking the whole show. So Shop the Floor is an app. I love to use it after the show, things that I question, if I wanted to review another line sheet, if I wanted to look at a different brand, or maybe I didn't get to see all the people that I wanted to see. And this is really a great tool to use after visiting the floor. So I'm going to teach you how to prep for the show. I'm going to teach you how to be a buyer, and I'm going to teach you how to be a merchant, all in the next 5 minutes. So hold on. Before we go to the show, and it's really funny because still after all of these years, I just celebrated my 50th time going to Las Vegas to the magic show. So if you add that up, that's 25 years. And I still go with the best intentions, with the best plans. And the minute I walk in through the doors, chaos erupts and I go all over the place. But the idea is that if you have a structure, especially if you're a new store, I also ask you to come in with an open mind and an open heart. Because the way you feel like your store is and the way that your store is going to end up is going to be quite different. And I always love using the example because it blows so many people away. But Barney's New York actually started as a men's discount store. And look where it is today. So just really understanding the industry, feeling out what's working. A lot of my stores that started as really like hip contemporary denim stores are now plus size stores and they're doing phenomenal business. So being able to adapt to the times, being able to change trend and change direction, these are all the things that makes the boutique industry, the independent retailer, so powerful as it is right now too. And I just want to put my 2 cents in, especially for the new people. I know that everybody must be like saying, what are you, crazy? Retail is dead. There's retail Armageddon going on. And a lot of that is 100% true, but it's true on the department store and national chain store level. And to be honest with you, a lot of us industry people, when we hear this bad news about stores closing, we actually smile because we knew that this was happening for a very long time. This is not news to us, but this gives the independents a better opportunity and more dollars that people are spending. People are still spending money. They're still shopping local. They're still shopping independents. And now with the lease of these sale-driven department stores in the marketplace, it's all better for us. So it really is a moment of opportunity. And I tell you this from the bottom of my heart, just don't be afraid and buy. And for those stores that have been in business for a while, really review your open to buy and see if you can increase a little bit your spending budgets, because people are buying more. And we're seeing even being not so cautious about price point and being more cautious about quality and style. So keep that in mind too. So take your time, talk to your consumers, talk to your neighboring stores, especially if you're in a small town, how you can complement each other. Plan your open to buy, your budget, and I'll give you a couple of examples of that, and really take the time to map out the show. And I'm going to say, even, if you're so focused and you know exactly what you want, 1 day at the show is not enough. 2 is okay, but 3 would really be ideal. The other thing, and especially for the new people, and I take this really to heart, because we are in the fashion industry, and, people do judge a book by its cover. I'm not saying that you have to dress in like 6-inch heels and like tight dresses that you can't walk all day. There is a level of comfort, but there should be a level of professionalism. And when people ask me, well, what do I wear for the show? I always use the idea of, or the example of a date dress. What would you wear if you're going out on the first date? You want to look cute, but you don't want to look cheap and easy. So you want to have that kind of balance when you're dressing for the show. I always say that it's important to bring a notebook and a stapler. I am not a fan of bringing giant tote bags and dragging them around the show. And I'll tell you, I did that in my younger years, and I definitely have like a dent in one of my shoulders from carrying these giant tote bags. This is before the wheelie cart. And the idea is that you make your notes, especially the things that you're not going to buy, but you're thinking about, or it's a product that you want to work into your budget, but you didn't have it set up yet. This is what you have the notebook and the card and the stapler and the pen for. And it's really funny because sometimes I'll see something, I'm like, nobody's going to buy that in my store. And the minute I get back to the store, 3 people are asking me for it. So it's the law of averages. It's Murphy's Law. So that's my suggestion. And I don't take line sheets and I don't take catalogs. Also, because environmentally, the trees and all that kind of stuff. But everything can be sent to you digitally, which then I could forward to my staff and the different salespeople and get their opinions and kind of formulate things more clearly. And one of the things I want to stress is, if you could get yourself a backup battery for your phone, because I just feel that the Javits Center eats cell phone batteries. It is specifically to this building. So that's actually very, very good advice. So during the show, please pace yourself, walk row by row, get a feeling for everything, especially with the new stores. Don't form judgments yet. Kind of be loose when you're thinking about different products, different price points. And one of the things that I feel like is really important, especially for the people that have been to the show a couple of times or been to other shows for a couple of times, don't just marry the vendors that you do well with. And make it a goal to at least see, you don't have to buy from them, but at least see 10 new vendors every time you come to market. It's important to try to familiarize yourself with the retail lingo, especially when it comes to order cancellation dates and delivery dates, and also FOBs, which means freight on board, which actually means where you'll be shipping from. So when you have these fabulous Brazilian companies and companies from Portugal and companies from Canada, are they shipping you from within the United States, or are they actually shipping you from abroad? And that makes a really big difference in price point. So me personally, I'm the type of person or type of buyer that goes around the show, and when I see something, I sit down and I write it. And I usually use my own order forms, so everything has a system and a place, and I can check my own boxes off and work by my own rules. And it is so important to write, hold for confirmation. Now, this doesn't mean that this gives you 10 days to think about it or 3 months to think about it. Usually by the time I go home, I look at my budget, I look at what I bought, I look at my pictures, I consult with the people on my team, and then we finalize our orders. Not everything that you write on these initial orders you're going to place. And the ones that you don't place, I actually write a note why I didn't write it. It could have been somebody had it better, somebody had it cheaper, somebody had it sooner, and I wanted to be first to market with that. And whatever the note might be, I could even make a note like the guy wasn't very nice, right? And I'll make a note and I'll file it by cancellation date. So everything that was coming in February, March, and April, I'll put it that way, because during in-season, you're also going to find that between 20 and 30% of the things that you bought are not going to come in. for many, many reasons. So the idea is that you can't sell from an empty wagon, so you need to have kind of like these backup orders. And also why it's important, even though you're just getting goods in for the first time, it might be in February and March, why it's so important to go back to market. And again, for those new stores that's your new delivery, it might seem really overwhelming and a little bit aggressive, but it's this cycle that we have to consistently plan for, and especially a plan of attack too. So one of the things that I want to stress is that don't forget that you are the buyer. Do not let anyone sell you things that you feel may or may not work. And this is where you're going to have to trust that gut feeling of yours. So usually I will buy 45% of my budget of my open to buy at the beginning of the season. So right now that means I'm buying spring 1 and spring 2. In season, about 35%, which is still I'm filling in with fall. Like, who knew that sequins was going to be so popular, right? So I'm just going crazy with the sequins. I'm buying sequins patches and accessories, and even footwear has sequins on it. So I'm really taking advantage of that kind of trend that I know now has been checking at retail. And then I also buy immediate at once. And sometimes when you're buying at once, you could actually ask for a discount with some of the brands. So keep that in mind too. So basically, this is what my budget looks like. I plan out every single month. I plan out holidays. I plan events that I'm having in my store. So if I'm having a very special event that involves, I don't know, cauliflower, which is a real thing, trust me, in the Catskills, we actually buy things specifically for this festival. So you have to keep in mind on hand what you have in inventory and what you plan on selling. And just as a quick rule of thumb, if I'm planning to do $10,000 a month in sales in my store, I need to have in retail dollars at least $30,000. So for those of you that are not new to retail and have been in business, let's take a look at that open to buy and see if we can increase it and also increase our sales. And not only that, but maybe maximizing better the capacity loads and the sales per square foot of our stores. So when we really get in the role of things, it's kind of important too to break down the budget by department. So for the new stores, don't freak out, don't look at this. It's not as important as it is to getting a variety of product in your store right now. So the idea is that we, as a rule of thumb, I know that we sell 4 tops to every bottom in our store. Dresses outsell skirts. So when I'm balancing my budget, I'm also taking a look at the departments and classifications. So as a buyer, especially a first-time buyer, it's our natural instinct to walk into a booth, and the first question we ask is, what's your minimum? And that's not the right way to start a conversation. When you start a conversation like that, you're saying, I don't know what I'm doing. Please take advantage of me. So the idea is that you really just want to take a look at the collection. You want to touch it. You want to feel it. I love in the young contemporary. So if you're new, this is where I would start my day at the fame part of the show, and just walk around because the booths tend to be more friendly. They tend to be very busy and very big, so you can kind of almost disappear within the booths. Everything is tagged. Everything is labeled. So now, as kind of a little exercise that I like to do with my clients is that I look at a product and I put a retail price on it. And then I ask what the price is. And, you know, if I thought I could get $30 for it and the price is $10, I'm not going to do a happy dance. I am going to obviously buy it. But now if it's $30 and I wanted to sell it for $30, now I start asking questions. Why is that? Oh, well, they're limited. They're one of a kind. The artist is very well known in our country. And then I have to figure out if that story is going to translate into a $65 markup in my store. So you have to really be judgmental when it comes to price and perception. The next thing you want to ask is, what's the cancellation date? And by law, on your order, that means the last possible date that the vendor can ship you the goods without you legally being able to cancel the order. So if you're planning, let's say, an Easter dress event, and you're not getting your Easter dresses until 2 days afterwards, that's not going to work out. So knowing when to cancel an order, knowing what dates to put, especially if you're having an event, is really important. And again, as a rule of thumb, I would say I want something on my floor for about 4 to 6 weeks before the actual event. So that could be Easter, it could be Passover, it could be graduations, it could be Mother's Day, all the things that are really happening in the springtime, spring vacation, all of those things. You have to kind of think about what the rotation is in your store and what goods would fit into that. Start date also goes with the cancel date, and that's the first day that they can ship your goods. So again, if they happen to have these Easter dresses in stock in December, do you really want them? And the answer is no. So putting a start date and a cancel date and actually writing your orders by month really helps with your cash flow and managing your inventory too. So what are your terms? That's basically the nice way of saying, how am I paying for this? And most of us, especially in the beginning, will not have industry credit. So you're going to be paying by a credit card. And I have a very, very strict rule that I do not give my credit card out at a trade show, because now you don't have the luxury of going back and reviewing your order before confirming it. It's at a trade show where you don't know who else is looking at your credit card. It could be compromised. It's just not a smart idea. So what I insist in is that they send me an invoice. I look at my invoice, I compare it to the order, make sure that the colors, the sizes, the prices, everything kind of works together, and then I write my own order confirmation release for the credit card, so credit card authorization. And there's two things that I include in that. One, I put a rule that they have to ship me within 48 hours of charging my credit card, because some brands and some vendors, and in some cases, they are notorious in charging your credit card and not shipping the goods for a month. So that means you're almost financing their production because they haven't received it yet. And that's not the position you need to be in. Another thing that I have found with that is that I also tell them that they may never charge my credit card again without my written permission. And the reason why is that they'll charge the credit card, like if you have 10 styles and you didn't specify to ship it all together as one shipment, they will ship you one item every day, every day, every day. And trust me when I tell you, all of those shipping charges add up. And this is definitely a business of nickels and dimes. So just for your own protection, 48 hours, they have to send out the goods after charging, and they can't charge it again without letting you know what's being charged. Where do you ship one from? That's your FOB. Do you have at-once goods, which is really important, especially if you're iffy about a brand, it's new, you don't know how it fits. If they have a small couple of items that you could pick through and get some testing before you put in your bigger spring order, that's an excellent way of doing that. Your size run. So, you know, at the end of the day, there isn't a standard size. And when I ask this question, like, well, how does it fit? They always say true to size. True to whose size? True to my size? True to a 13-year-old size? Like, true to who? So the idea is that you want to get more specific in the conversation. You want to say, well, do you scale yourself like a J. Crew or maybe a Ralph Lauren, a brand that you already know and probably wear? That's how I would compare it. Or if the person in the showroom or in the booth is wearing the product, I would ask them, what size are you wearing? And you know, this is where you're allowed to be judging. You could say, yeah, you're wearing a 6, but you're more like a 12. And I got it. So it runs a little bit big or small, and you kind of make your own calls. One thing that I find, it's kind of funny to me now. I could always tell a new buyer because they're the ones standing, trying everything on. And I just want to tell you something about that. If it's not a production sample, that means that they've already shipped it and this is the stock that they have right in their warehouse going to your store. You trying it on makes no sense because it's a first sample or a salesman sample and most likely hasn't been corrected. So they just kind of make them kind of loose or maybe too fitted, but it's not a fitted sample. So you trying it on, and if it worked out, great, but if it didn't work out, don't dismiss the brand and ask what sample stage you're looking at. How do they come packed? So you're going to find that in fame, in the fast fashion, in the young contemporary area, a lot of things come pre-packed. You'll find that also true in a lot of the accessories area. So that means if they come 222, probably 2 smalls, 2 mediums, 2 larges, and they come in packs of 6. So you cannot order 4, you cannot order 3. They're coming in packs of 6. Most of the time, especially in the better brands, especially what you'll find in COTERIE, is that there'll be open scale, which means you get to pick your sizes, but you have to buy a minimum per size. Usually it's between 3 and 4 pieces. So just plan accordingly. And I always find, as a rule of thumb, I like to buy bigger sizes on the scale than smaller, because I could always make a big size small, and it makes people feel good when you do that. Then having a small size, you can't make it bigger. So you're kind of just stuck with that. What is your opening order? This is now when I'm getting an idea of what they expect from me, but this is just really being polite, because at the end of the day, if you're very far away from what their minimums are, maybe it's not a brand worth you trying out. Or if you're very close, don't buy that one more item just to be right or just to follow the rules. Have a conversation. Say, listen, you know, your minimum is $500 and at $450. Is there anything you can do to work with me, because we're so close and this is the first time I'm doing business with you, and I'm sure we're going to be very successful and have a long relationship. So that's the conversation. Don't be afraid. This is not a business of shy people, of wallflowers. Like, we're here to be aggressive and to be in business, and most importantly, to make money. So that brings me to my last question. Is this the best you can do? And basically, this is just a very kind of vague way of asking for a discount. And now discounts don't only come in a form of percentages off of a garment, but they also come in free shipping. They come with points of purchase signage. They come with gifts. They come with many things that you can translate that into a tangible to create excitement inside of your store. So a couple of tips. It is so important to follow up on your orders. Just because we wrote them, just because we sent them in and confirmed them, just because we went over them with our pictures and organized them and put them in the file, you cannot forget about them. So I would say about 2 to 3 weeks before my cancellation date, I start calling. Am I getting everything? Is everything on time? Can I expect this? Or sometimes they might say, hey, we got a little bit early. Would you like it? Yes. The answer is always yes, because I always want to be first to market. So just think about all those things that go along with it too. It helps me organize my advertising. It helps me organize my social media posts, all of those things. So, okay, I think I covered that somewhere else, but that's it. So that was all my good tips for you, and now we're opening up the floor to questions.
Thank you so much, Mercedes, Celeste, and Danielle, for all your helpful hints, tips, and all your insider knowledge. If you do have any questions, please make sure you enter them in the Q&A tool on the presentation page now, and we'll try to get to them. We already have had some really great questions come through, and we're going to address those now. So we did have a few people at the start of the presentation following up on the activewear brand that was mentioned by Danielle. This brand was Lenston. You can view their current collections on Revolve right now. Another question that did come through was, what are the new and noteworthy denim brands that we can find at the show? I'm going to hand it over to Danielle.
Hi. So we have a very, very wide price range on the denim. I mentioned Baldwin earlier, but Baldwin is at the top price point, and also is not a fit that will work for everyone. It's a great fashion denim, more kind of Japanese structured, and definitely more for your fashion kind of girl. If you're looking for a great jean for everybody, especially, you know, one that fits all sorts of body shapes or is a lower price point, we have other suggestions for you, and that can be anyone from a Parker Smith to a James Jeans, Blank Jeans if you're looking, you know, for price point, BLANK. We have Driftwood, McGuire, which is a great jean as well, Edwin, Liverpool, and Articles of Society. If you're looking for something very specific within the denim world, example, you're looking for stretch jeans or jeggings or something that's truly like, you know, advanced and fashion oriented, email us and we'll give you very specific examples. But we have a very wide range going from pretty much $100 up to $325.
Thank you, Danielle. Another question that's come through is, are there any skin or body care brands that you feel that retailers should know about?
Definitely the Lab to Beauty brand that we talked about earlier. We have quite a few activations actually going on in the beauty area where people are going to be coming in and actually applying creams and working with different sort of activational products. So I would just recommend stopping by because it's actually going to be a very kind of dynamic area where you can learn about all different sorts of creams, products, body products, perfume, all of that, and how it all interacts together.
Great. Another one, do we have any sustainable or vegan brands? Danielle?
Yes, we actually have a partnership with the UN this season that you'll see placed in the lobby where we're actually focusing on sustainable brands. Sustainable means different things to all different people. Some of it means recycled or ethical, or it sources materials from certain places or employs, different groups of, women or artisanal people. So basically, what I would suggest is telling us exactly what you're looking for. You're looking for dresses only made of recycled or reused fabrics, or you're looking for people who are approved by the UN Sustainability Act, and we can gear you in the right direction. We have over 30 sustainable brands in the show.
Great. Another question coming in. If I normally attend WWD Magic and Pool in Las Vegas, what would be the best shows to attend in New York?
I would say definitely same, and probably the far right side of COTERIE as well as kind of the other areas, the beauty area, the activate area for the more pool-oriented product.
Great. We have a lot of questions also for Mercedes, but before I start those, Danielle, is there any other tips or comments that you wanted to throw out there for the retailers?
Yeah, just one thing that I forgot to mention earlier, and that is to utilize your Instagram for the show. I think it's important that the people who shop in your specialty accounts know about your buying trip. A lot of people use the hashtag follow the buyers, and it's something that we look up at COTERIE and repost people's travels and trips a lot. It's also a good way to gauge the popularity of the items that you're looking at. So you might want to give a sneak peek or put up a dress that's on a model just to get an idea of how many people like it, or people from your area that already want to tell you that they want to reserve a piece. In the specialty world, you guys have the capability and the flexibility that department stores don't to do those types of things and gauge your audience really quickly. And you can obviously follow and use our hashtags, which is hashtag COTERIE and @COTERIE Show.
Thank you so much. Now on to some questions for Mercedes. Besides a notebook and a stapler, is there anything else that should be brought that will make things easier at the show?
Well, you definitely want to bring an extra battery for your cell phone and probably an extra pair of shoes, just because walking so much, doesn't matter the footwear you start with, you're going to have to change them out to something else by the end of the day. And don't forget business cards. My gosh, you know how many times my own clients have left the house without their business cards, so make sure you pack those too.
Another question coming through. What is the best way to plan open to buy when it's your first buy-in trip?
So there's two different forms of doing it, and I'll just give you like the general overview, which deals with math and numbers. You have to kind of predict what your sales are going to be based right now on your overhead. So if your overhead is at least $5,000 a month, you have to plan to want to sell at least $10,000 a month. So now that means if I have a 3-to-1 ratio, that means I have to have $30,000 on the floor worth of goods and a rotation of them coming in every week as I sell, something else needs to be coming in. So that $30,000 at retail dollars, depending on your markup, which we recommend between a 2.3 and a 2.5 markup, will cost you that much, and that could be your opening inventory. Another way of addressing that is I just try to figure out my capacity loads in the store, which means how much stuff I can possibly fit, how many hangers I have, how many display shelves I have, how many tables, how many racks, and what fits on there, and try doing it that way, where now you have a full store, a full overview of everything that you wanted to start with, just a little bit, and then we narrow it down what works, what doesn't work, what sizes work, and what sizes don't work. But what happens when you don't take advantage of looking at your capacity loads or your dollars, or vice versa, you don't do any of it, and you just start buying everything that you like, you're going to end up with a lot of stuff that doesn't fit in the store and a budget that you can't meet and pay the credit card bill at the end of the month because you can't turn it over fast enough because of the location and the space and the overhead that you have. So I hope that kind of answers it. If it didn't, you can shoot me an email and we could talk about it offline too.
Thanks, Mercedes. And we will be providing Mercedes' contact details at the end of the presentation. Another question coming through. What other sections besides Fame do you recommend for startup boutiques?
Well, I'm not really sure what kind of boutique you're looking at, but that's why I feel it's important. If you haven't really opened and you haven't had a location yet and you're really just kind of sorting out the industry, then I would just walk the whole show. I would start maybe at the highest price points at my COTERIE, at my edit level, and work my way down into Fame and try to get a balance for all the price points, all the tiers that are in, all the product categories, and maybe even some niche markets like plus sizes or petites or tweens even. So try to look at those in that kind of a perspective, and then you can focus in on what you felt works the best for where you want to open up.
Next question. How much wholesale price should I pay for a retail price between $100 and $150?
So usually we work on a 2.3 to a 2.4 markup. So that means if I divide $100 by 2.5, my wholesale price is about $40.
As a first-timer, how would you categorize the dress code for buyers at the show?
You know, it's funny because we are in an industry where, you know, if you're really wild and over the top, I love it. Diana Bierlin was the editor of Vogue, who is one of my icons in the industry. She didn't like boring people. But if you're just going to wear, you know, sweatpants and a T-shirt and flip-flops, which I really have a thing about flip-flops, especially in New York City, you don't look polished and professional, and you don't look like the credible expert that some of the bigger brands like the Rebecca Minkoffs and the, you know, some of the bigger denim brands will want to take you seriously as a fashion leader in the industry. And that has a lot to do with the brand's placement within your store too. And that's another thing too that we didn't mention. For all the real new stores, you should have a concept book put together of the brands that you want to carry. And I'll tell you, after all these years, people ask me like, what brands do you carry? And I always draw a blank. So having a list of my top 10 or my top 20 wish list of brands so that they know who they hang with, what the store is going to look like if it's not open, if you haven't even signed the lease, what it's going to look like, how you're going to do your marketing, what your social media is going to look like all of your concepts put together in like 4 or 5 little pages that you could hand somebody and take it back, but hand them so that they understand that you know what you're doing and they have a better trust, and especially with some of these bigger brands.
Thanks, Mercedes. This is a question that has come in. While I realize the financial aspect of having shipments delivered at different months during the season, I would rather have possession of what I bought, so I have control of when I want to display, showcase, or sell it. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I'm not sure, because every month you're changing your displays and every month you're showcasing whatever is new in the store. So in the perfect world, right, you get things in at the beginning of the month, and let's say you spent $10,000 on those new items. By the end of the month, when the credit card bill is due, you should have made back the money and are paying from your inventory. But now if you're hoarding goods for 3 or 4 months just to say that you have control over them, somebody else might have them marked down, somebody else might have done a better display from you. The idea, and this is what I feel like a lot of people don't realize when they're first opening a retail store, is that buying is a full-time job. You're always seeking, negotiating, buying, traveling, following up, redoing, doing your marketing, doing your campaigns, doing your advertising, all based on the buys that you bought. So I'm not really sure if I understood the question, but you do want to have. And again, for those of you that have stores for a long time, you'll know what I'm talking about. When a person comes into your store twice a month, the first question that they ask every other week is, what's new in the store? So keeping it fresh, keeping it alive, keeping them with anxiety, which is another really important trick that us independent retailers have, is that when a person walks into a store and they see 6 pieces of something, they know that they cannot wait until you mark it down and go on sale because it's not going to be there next week. So that rotation, I feel, is really important.
Another question coming in, what is the average minimum for brands at Fame and how many pieces per size do you suggest to buy?
Well, I'm just going to generalize this, but most of the brands at Fame come in pre-packs of 6. I'm not sure that they even have, a lot of them have minimums. They might have, like, if the first time you're doing business with them, it might range between $500 and maybe $1,000. But again, I want to emphasize that don't go by that. Just buy what you're comfortable with. And sometimes you might have to walk away from a brand that you only liked one cardigan sweater and nothing else. But I also want you to think of yourself not only as a buyer, but as a fashion editor, that you're taking the best from each collections and making your own statement within your store.
Thank you, Mercedes. We've had a few questions coming in regards to brands lists and brands that can be found in each of the shows. Today, we will be launching our show planner. This is a digital show planner that has brands lists. In the coming days, it will have also booth numbers and an interactive floor plan to help you plan out your day at the show. Another question that is coming in is how do we set up specific appointments with brands? So Celeste, can you answer that one for us?
Sure. There's 2 very good ways that you can set up appointments with brands. One is if you know that specific brand that you do want that appointment with and you do not know the contact information, you can reach out to our retail relations group directly and we'll be very happy to provide that contact and you can make that outreach to the brand for an appointment. And again, you can reach us at retailrelations@ubmfashion.com. Or if you would like help in setting that appointment, we would be very happy to try to facilitate that. And we can also be reached at retailrelations@ubmfashion.com.
Thank you, Celeste. We do have more questions coming in, which is great. These are really great questions. The next one is, sometimes clothing items are available too soon. Is it better to have the item shipped when it's available? Or if I ask to ship later, am I risking them not being available?
Well, so this is really important, and part of the conversation before I start writing an order are what are my delivery dates. There are people that will take in goods later, but again, I don't think that that's a wise strategy. So if it's something that doesn't meet your particular date, I'd move on and get something else that does. So to answer your question, no, I don't think it's wise to take things in later when they're available earlier.
Thank you so much, Mercedes. I'm going to hand it over to Celeste now to just tell you a little bit more about the retail engagement team.
Okay, our retail engagement team consists of 8 of us, and each of our retail relations managers or agents are very versed and schooled and very intimate with different areas of the show. So, for example, we have Misha, who is our footwear expert, and then we have other retail relations experts on our team like Gail, Susan, Karen, Mindy, Sandy, and Kelly. And each is very specific to a show. So if you're looking for help with Fame, Kelly and Mindy would be the person you would like to reach out to. And again, you can reach out to any of our retail relations people at retailrelations@ubmfashion.com. So if you're a new store and you need assistance, or if you have additional questions about the show, or you have suggestions, or you need suggestions on which brands you want to meet this September, please don't hesitate. We're here to help you. And once you're at the show, be sure to look for us at our retail concierge desk and meet our retail relations team. I would like to, again, thank Mercedes. Yes?
Oh, sorry. I just wanted to mention Bruce over at sourcing, which is like the Superman of sourcing. You could ask him like a really random question like, which denim manufacturer is the most sustainable, and he'll have an answer for you.
Thank you, Mercedes. That's great information and a great plug for the sourcing area. We'd also like to thank you and Danielle one last time. If you would like to connect with Mercedes or find out more about global purchasing, please, the contact information is shared here and will be included on your slides when you receive the information via email. And again, you will receive the presentation within 24 hours of the close of this presentation.
Thank you, Celeste, Mercedes, and Danielle, and everyone who attended the webinar today. If you haven't registered for the show, please head over to ubmfashion.com to ensure you're registered to attend. We look forward to seeing you soon for New York Women's September. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you.